Well, Steve, we finally made it to Baton Rouge, and we finally made it to the beginning of the 2020 football season. It's been a long time since it seems like we've been on the road, but should be exciting today in Baton Rouge. Tell me how you think it's going to go.
Well, the first thing I'll say, Mike, is like you, we joked about this on the way down. The last time that Mississippi State played a sporting event, you and I were in Nashville, Tennessee at the 247 Sports annual convention, and then watching Mississippi State beat Texas Tech. It wasn't an upset. Mississippi State was the better baseball team. And it's so surreal to think about we've been without Bulldog athletics since that moment. It's crazy to think about. This is a tall task for Mississippi State today. I think we all know that. Some breaking news, though, that Derek Stingley, LSU's All-American corner, may not play today. I mean, I know he's listed as doubtful. Some say he's not going to play. If Mike Leach's offense gets rolling, he might get a shot of Benadryl and be out here in the second half. But, we'll see. But that is a very significant development considering that LSU pass defense is so predicated on him closing off one side of the field.
Having worked in athletics and around football, when they term a player highly unlikely, that means that there's a possibility that they could play. And I would think you're right. If they get in a situation where he's got to play, he'll play. What does Mississippi State have to do to win this football game?
Well, number one, I think you got to have ball security. You can't go out there and turn the football over. And, you and I had a chance to speak with a program insider earlier, talk a little bit about some of the offensive philosophy is take what the defense gives you immediately. Don't dilly-dally around, look for other options. If they're giving you that 7-yard hitch, you take that. If they're giving you Kyle in the flat, you take it. You take the best option as quickly as you can to keep those guys on their toes. And also, too, it's a completion. It moves the chains. It shortens it down in distance, and it tires out a defense. State has got to be able to dictate tempo to LSU. If we start getting into a shootout, I don't know that favors Mississippi State because I think at some point you got to get a stop, and that's the real worry today is can State get enough stops to win the ball game? Can KJ Costello protect the football and find his wide receivers and not have turnovers? And listen, there's going to be some growing pains, probably some tip passes, but Mississippi State needs to make sure it's Bulldog hands getting on those balls and not Tigers.
What do you think LSU is going to try to do to win this game?
I believe it or not, I think they're going to try to run the football a little bit. And, I think at their core, they want to be that same 5 wide receiver release offense and kind of getting up down the field. I don't know with a new quarterback, if you come out and you just kind of go, caution to the wind, I think you've got to get him going, and that probably means getting started running the football. We don't know much about this Bulldog front seven, to be honest with you. We know we've got some talent there. We don't have much experience. How will Kobe Jones, Marquis Spencer react to being starters? We saw last year with Chauncey Rivers as a guy that had a huge junior year as a reserve, but then when he gets into the starting role, he doesn't flash quite as much. Because, let's be honest, when you're playing 15, 20 snaps a game, you can go all out every single play. You can't do that as a starter. Sometimes you got to conserve some energy. And so how will they handle that, that development, I guess, for themselves as they mature as players? I mean, we know what kind of people they are. We know what kind of athletes, but it's very grueling to play in this league. And it's very humid out here today, too. We thought it might be a kind of a crisp fall day. It's not. It's kind of like an early summer day. But by and large, Mississippi State got to play good defense, got to make sure they stop the run. I think you have to put this game in Miles Brennan's hands. You've got to make Miles Brennan beat you. And listen, he may be capable of doing that, but I don't think you can just sit back and let him dictate terms to you.
History would tell us that Mike Leach, he's going to throw the ball all over the field, and he's got the gunslinger at quarterback to do that. I would assume that that's what they'll do, especially with Stingley being questionable at this point.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. Mike Leach is Mike Leach, and I asked him earlier this week. That was one of the things we heard last year from Joe Moorhead is, we're going to run the best play based on the defensive look. And I think Mike Leach kind of answered that question is, we're going to run what we run, and there are times the defense will give you something where you're going to take it. So I think he's more of the aggressor. He wants to set the tone rather than just simply be a counter fighter per se. I think he wants to come out throwing some haymakers.
Well, stay with Gene's Page 247 Sports as we cover the Bulldogs in Baton Rouge.